Welcome to the Deep Dive. Today, we're giving you a fast, comprehensive look at the biggest AI updates that came out just yesterday, October 18th, 2025. And what really jumped out from the sources yesterday, I think, was this shift away from, the usual hype. It felt much more about actual execution.
Yeah, tangible progress,
Yeah,
less talk, more deployment, more setting the ground rules.
exactly. Like laying down the new operational reality for AI.
Okay, so let's unpack this. Where should we start? Maybe the physical side? The power, the silicon?
That makes sense. It's fundamental. And the sources yesterday really showed how the sheer scale of AI demand is, physically reshaping other industries, like energy infrastructure.
Right, I saw that. U.S. data center developers are now, get this, building their own power plants.
On-site power plants.
Yeah, gas turbines, fuel cells right there on site because the local grids just can't deliver the massive power AI needs fast enough. It's a huge turning point, isn't it? It really hammers home that AI growth isn't just a software problem anymore. It's driving enormous physical infrastructure investments.
So tech companies are becoming their own utilities, basically.
Pretty much. When the grid can't keep up, you build your own. It shows the AI boom is literally, driving new power generation. That's a massive footprint.
And while they're figuring out power, the chip makers are doing very well. TSMC reported record earnings.
And they raised their forecast for 2025 revenue.
Yeah, up into the mid 30% range. And it's purely driven by demand for those advanced AI chips, the 3 nanometer, 5 nanometer ones.
From all the big players, presumably.
You bet. And related to that, NVIDIA showed off the first Blackwell AI chip wafer actually produced in the U.S. from that new TSMC plant in Phoenix.
Ah, the supply chain angle. Still a major focus.
Definitely. But it's not just making the chips, it's running them efficiently, right?
Exactly. And there was a key update there yesterday, too, on the software side.
Okay, this is where it gets really interesting for companies wanting to run their own models, I think. NVIDIA dropped Ciego 14.0 and TensorArt LLM version 2.
Right. And the performance claims are pretty striking. They're talking about improvements specifically for those mid-size models, the 7 billion to 70 billion parameter range.
The sweet spot for a lot of enterprise use cases? What are the numbers?
They're claiming a 40% increase in throughput.
Wow, 40%?
And a 30% drop in latency.
So faster, and you can handle more requests.
Precisely. This genuinely makes running those powerful open source models significantly cheaper and faster for companies to host themselves. It lowers that operational cost barrier.
That feels like a big deal for broader adoption. Is this across the board or mostly for their latest, highest-end hardware?
Well, the initial reports emphasize the newer architectures, naturally. But the sense is that these updates push efficiency gains pretty broadly across their mid to high-end enterprise cards.
Right.
The goal is just making the hardware people already have work harder.
Makes sense. Okay, so from the hardware and the efficiency, let's shift gears to the research itself, the actual AI models, specifically making them safer and more reliable.
Yeah, that's crucial. And we saw progress aimed right at the reliability problems that have held AI back in really sensitive areas like medicine.
Like the Vanderbilt research?
Exactly. They introduced a new AI model for drug discovery, but instead of focusing just on the 3D shapes of molecules and proteins.
Which is how it's often done, right?
Right. They focused on the interaction space between them. It's a bit more abstract.
Okay, why does that matter for reliability? What's the benefit?
It helps tackle what's sometimes called brittle behavior. Older models trained on specific known structures can just completely fail when they see something genuinely new outside their training data.
Ah, they don't generalize well.
Exactly. By focusing on the interaction, this new model seems to generalize better to totally new protein targets. That could mean fewer costly failures in drug development, more trust in the AI tools.
That sounds promising. And sticking with safety, but for large language models, Anthropic.
They published research on something they call constitutional self-correction.
Okay, what's the idea there?
The model basically uses a built-in set of safety principles, a constitution, to analyze its own reasoning process. And if it detects a potentially harmful path, it tries to correct itself before giving an output.
So the AI policing itself.
Sort of, yeah. It raises that big question, can models reliably do that? But it's a step towards maybe more auditable, reliable AI. Especially as these models get so complex, humans can't realistically check everything.
Interesting. Self-correction. And still on models, there was a big open source release out of Europe too, right?
Yes, Elif Alpha, the German company, they released Secret 70B.
70 billion parameters, open source, multimodal.
And under an Apache 2.0 license, so quite permissive. The key thing is reports suggest it's actually competitive with some top proprietary models like GPT-4o or Gemini 1.5 Pro.
Really? In what areas?
It seems particularly strong at understanding complex technical diagrams, schematics, things like that.
Okay, that's significant for Europe, having a powerful homegrown open source alternative, especially for industry.
Absolutely. It fits right into that push for digital sovereignty.
And that strength in technical diagrams is actually a neat segue into the next area, real-world adoption. Where is this tech actually hitting the market now?
Well, speaking of industry, it's moving onto the factory floor. Microsoft launched a public preview of Copilot for Industrial Automation.
Wait, Copilot like the coding assistant, but for factory machines?
Kind of, yeah.
Yeah.
It integrates AI with industrial control systems. That's Siemens, Mindsphere, and things like that. It lets factory managers use natural language.
Just type questions.
Yeah, type of speak questions to monitor production lines, diagnose faults in machinery. It's bringing generative AI into that heavy-duty operational technology, or OP sector.
Where mistakes can be physically costly.
Exactly. It lowers the barrier for engineers to use AI to optimize things in real time.
Okay, that's big for manufacturing. What about other sectors, healthcare?
We saw movement in localized solutions there. A Saudi startup, Nuxera AI, raised $2.5 million
For what specifically?
for their platform called Sarah. It's Arabic first and automates clinical documentation.
Handling different dialects is always a challenge.
And that's key here. Sarah apparently handles 28 distinct Arabic dialects. The claim is it cuts doctor paperwork time by over 70%.
Wow. That shows the need for tailoring AI to specific languages and regions.
Definitely improves efficiency in markets that might have been overlooked by, English-centric models.
Okay, and back on the developer side, Google AI Studio had updates.
Yeah, they launched a unified playground. So now developers can experiment with all their models, LLMs, image generation, text-to-speech, all in one interface.
Makes sense. Anything else?
The other interesting bit was adding the ability to ground AI applications with real-time Google Maps data.
So giving the AI real-world geospatial context.
Exactly. Think location-aware apps that know precisely where they are and maybe what's around them. Opens up a lot of possibility.
Okay. And quickly on the consumer front, that app, Endless Summer.
Yes. Generates realistic-looking fake vacation photos of you using generative AI.
So you can pretend you went somewhere amazing.
Pretty much. It's maybe a small thing, but it highlights how easy high-quality visual fabrication is becoming for just, personal fun and escape. It's expanding content creation into pure imagination.
Right. And one more big adoption signal. M&A, Capgemini closed its WNS acquisition.
That's right. A $3.3 billion deal. And they're explicitly positioning the combined entity as a leader in agentic AI-powered intelligent operations.
Agentic AI, meaning AI that doesn't just answer but does things.
Exactly. Executes multi-step tasks, business processes autonomously.
That kind of money, $3.3 billion, says enterprises are really betting on these autonomous agents now.
It's a major vote of confidence. It takes it out of the lab and firmly into enterprise strategy.
Which logically leads us to governance. If these systems are becoming so powerful and autonomous, how are they being managed or controlled?
Well, it's happening at different levels. On the platform side, look at WhatsApp, owned by Meta. They updated their business API terms.
What's the change?
They're prohibiting general-purpose AI chatbots starting early 2026.
Okay, wait. So a business can still have a bot answer customer questions about their products.
Yes, business-specific bots are still allowed.
But they can't plug in a general third-party LLM, like a broad AI assistant, through the API.
Exactly that. It seems like Meta is drawing a line. They want to manage resource use on their platform, sure, but probably also consolidate those general AI assistant capabilities within their own official tools, like Meta AI. Keep control over that main channel.
Platform control in action. Okay. What about actual government regulation?
We saw movement there, too. The UK's AI Safety Institute published its first mandatory technical standards.
Mandatory standards for what?
For the pre-deployment testing of what they call frontier AI models, the most powerful ones. It's document ASI STD 2025-01.
And what kind of testing does it mandate?
Rigorous checks for dangerous capabilities. Things like cybersecurity exploitation potential, autonomous self-replication risks. It's moving from just principles to actual required engineering tests.
Setting a benchmark for safety testing. What about elsewhere?
Well, India announced what they're calling a techno-legal approach. specifically for deepfakes.
Techno-legal, meaning
Prioritizing technical detection and enforcement methods alongside new legal rules to protect people's image and voice data. A hybrid approach.
interesting. And Singapore.
Singapore's AI Verify Foundation released an open-source toolkit. This one is aimed at helping organizations evaluate generative AI models for things like bias, robustness, and factual accuracy before they deploy them. Practical tools for assessment.
So a mix of mandatory standards, specific threat responses like deepfakes, and tools for voluntary assessment. Lots happening.
Definitely. But maybe the most sobering update yesterday came from the Wikimedia Foundation.
About Wikipedia.
Yeah. They reported that human page views on Wikipedia are down significantly, about 8% year over year.
8%? Why?
They directly attribute it, at least partly, to search engines using generative AI to create summaries. People get the answer directly in the search results.
And they don't click through to the actual Wikipedia article anymore.
Exactly. The AI gives them the summary, so the traffic to the source disappears.
Wow. So the very systems that rely on Wikipedia's knowledge are potentially undermining its sustainability.
That seems to be the concern. The platforms that feed the AI models, these huge volunteer-run knowledge bases, are seeing their traffic and maybe, down the line, their contributor motivation potentially eroded by the AI they enable.
Okay, so if we try to tie all of yesterday's updates together, what's the big picture?
It really feels like two tracks moving incredibly fast, but maybe not quite in sync. You have the technical track racing ahead, more power, more efficiency, smarter chips, models that can correct themselves, autonomous agents.
Pushing the capabilities forward.
Right, and then you have the governance and ecosystem track desperately trying to catch up, setting safety standards, platforms drawing boundaries, figuring out how to handle deepfakes, and now realizing the knowledge foundations themselves are under strain.
Yeah, that tension between the sheer speed of deployment and the stability of the foundations it's built on really comes through.
It really does.
Yeah.
And it forces you to ask that pretty fundamental question.
Which is?
Well, if the generative AI tools we're all starting to rely on are weakening the very knowledge sources they scrape and summarize, who's going to maintain the accuracy and trustworthiness of that global knowledge base in, say, 5 years?
Yeah.
Where does reliable information come from then?
That is definitely something to think about. The sustainability of the whole ecosystem. Thank you for joining us for this deep dive.